Yeah.
How'd you end up deciding you were going to move to Florida? Had you been here before? What happened?
You know, I came a long time ago when I was young. But actually, what got me down here is I've got a younger brother. He's about four and a half years younger than me, and he's been down here about 12 years. And he said, "Man, you got to come down here and check out the music and the life." You know, he said, "It's great down here." And I was like, "Yeah, you know." And so years went by, and he finally got me down here. And once we got down here, I was just like, "Of course, you know, he's right. It's beautiful, and the people are great, and the music scene's fantastic." So, you know, we fell in love with it, and we've been down here going on 7 years almost, my wife and I, and just kind of eased our way into the community and started playing music as much as we could. When we got down here, we did construction during the day. Farrell and I actually would do hardwood floors and tile and stone work, and Farrell's strong, you know. And then we'd play gigs at night, so, you know, that's how we got down here.
So that's good to know, because I've got some remodeling to do at my house costume.
I'll send Farrell over.
That's right. She's not here to defend it, so we'll hook her up with some work.
Yeah.
So both of your albums were written here?
The first album was written back home and recorded back home in Arkansas, and you know, it's just self-titled, really. I mean, it was kind of my first experience going into a studio, and so I learned a lot doing it. But it's a good album. It's full of songs that I wrote while being in love with Farrell and meeting her, and while we were dating and kind of hanging out. So it's got a lot of really good stuff in it, you know. So I like that album. Which
leads me right to, how did you and Farrell meet?
You know, Farrell grew up playing music her whole life. Her whole family is talented, and I'll tell a quick story. When I first started dating Farrell, I thought I would woo her with a song. And I didn't know at the time that all of her brothers are fantastic players, and so I really thought I was going to impress her. And you know, I pulled out, you know, my Best Love song, and so I played it for her. And when I got done, she's like, "Yeah, that's cool. What do you want to do now?" And I was like, "Oh man, you know." And so she was not impressed at all. And you know, but she comes from a musical background, and her cousin and I used to play guitar together, and he and I were a duo around town, and we played everywhere. And he introduced us, we hit it off, and you know, just started hanging out and everything. You know, she basically asked me out on a date, and I considered it and said yes, but she's gonna kill me when she sees this.
Now, you mentioned earlier when we were doing the show that you were hesitant to get on stage when you were here. What was that all about?
You know, the truth is, I've always been pretty shy growing up. I mean, I wouldn't play for my parents a lot of times. I was just like, I loved playing my music, but it was just kind of like my world, you know, and that's really how I learned to play growing up out in the country with a guitar in my hand, you know. And so, you know, when I got down here, I'd just taken a little bit of time off when we moved down here from it, and I've always been shy about getting in front of people. And so, you know, I just was like, oh man, a new area, and it was just me and the guitar getting up there, and it's scary getting up in front of people doing that and putting your music out in front of people. And so I'm a late bloomer in getting my own songs out to people. I've got over 65 songs that I've written, and I'm just now getting out and playing them for people. So it's you know, it just took me a long time to come out of my shell, you know.
It's a household name, though. I mean, everybody knows Forrest, and everybody that we've had in here or been to go see or talk to, it seems like his name's mentioned every single time. Oh, well, Forrest Wood, they helped me out, and you know, Season, all of them.
Yeah, yeah,
so
that's true.
He's
that's true.
Not only local talent, but a big part of music in general.
Making it happen. Really well, and everybody is ingratiated for the backyard boogie. That's something that this area desperately needed.
This area is a good example of what a supportive community can do for an artist that is, you know, shy. I probably wouldn't have done as much as I've done if I had been in another area. This area's been great for me. It's kind of brought me out of my shell, and it's also provided so many neat little places to get better at your craft here. I mean, I call it music boot camp here, because you get to play so many gigs. You by default are going to get better at your craft here, and so it's great. And you know, I try to help other people out. When I moved down here, we just slowly kind of built up a following, and then really, just it took time to get going down here. But now when people come in, I try to help new artists out the best I can and get them hooked up with the right places, and I provide them a venue now with the Backyard Boogie. So, it's turned out to just be a good place all around for us.
And okay, I might get you in trouble, but your band page on Facebook, anyways, says that Farrell's the manager, but it doesn't show her as being a band member. Is that just an oversight?
There's a fine balance here. I appreciate this question. The next time you see me, I'll probably have 2 black eyes. But no, this is the truth. There's a fine balance on how much spotlight I can give Farrell, because there's already quite a few people that want to change the name of the band to the Pharrell Williams Band, and so I just give her just a little bit of attention at a time to keep her down. No, Farrell is really a huge part. She's the engine behind this band, and she's not only just a talented musician, but she's also great at networking and getting the promotion part of things. I mean, I don't like to get on the computer. I like to be the one writing the songs and out playing my guitar, and she allows me to really do that by taking care of a lot of the other business. So she is what makes the wheels go around on the Forrest Williams band bus.
Well, and y'all talked a little bit during the show about how the Backyard Boogie got started. Did you not intend to play it when you set it up? Did it just kind of happen that way? Yeah,
really how it happened is I walked out in the backyard one day, and I think I was shooting my bow and arrow or something back there, and I was like, this is too cool of a piece of property to not do something neat with it. And so I just kind of had a vision out there, and I came back in the house and said, "Hey, I'm building a big stage in the backyard." And Farrell's like, "No, you're not." And I was like, "Yes, I am." And she's like, "Okay, you can build a little stage back in the very, very back corner." And so she and I butted heads about it for a while, and I finally I said, "I'm doing this," and I'm like, it's gonna equal good things, just trust me. And so what really made it happen is the Seaside rep came to me and had heard that we had a neat place back there, and they said, "Can we do a fundraiser in your backyard?" And I was like, "Sure." And they were like, "Well, how about 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I got to build this stage." I was like, "Yeah, we can do it," And then I was like, I went to work, and literally in 2.5 weeks, I had the stage built. I built it by hand. I had a couple of pine trees that were in the way of where I wanted to park cars, so I cut them and turned those into the poles that hold up the roof. And I debarked them with an axe, and about a week into, I was like, "What was I thinking?" And
you should have known me. I have a draw knife.
Oh, nice. Well, my dad, he's got like 3 or 4 of them back home in Missouri, but yeah, that would have been perfect for it.
Right.
But anyway, I got it done, up to a point where we could use it, and then I've just improved on it as we've gone along. I had some help from some friends. I've got a buddy of mine, Fred Santucci, from New York, but they've got a home down here, and man, he helped me. He built the beautiful ornate sign or whatever that goes across that says Backyard Boogie. So he's really helped me put some icing on the cake there. But I didn't plan on not playing it, but we realized real quick that it takes all of our effort. We get up early when we're going to do a boogie that day. You're mowing the yard, you're setting up all the lights and the sound equipment, and she and I work really hard. My wife and I work hard to get it set up for a show, and so we realized, when are we ever going to be able to play and do all this other stuff? But I think we've got it down. We're just going to treat it like we're going to another gig, and we're going to set up all our gear just like we normally do and pull off a show this Friday. So.
Well, and I was going to ask if you have help setting up for the shows.
We normally don't. What I do get people to, I usually get a few people to come in and help me park cars. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, we'll get my brother or our sister-in-law to come down and help work the booth or something like that to, manage for a little bit of that while we're doing other things. But it's really come together. We're at a point now where I go out and I flip the switch on out there, and I still set up all the gear, but it's more streamlined now, and it's enjoyable. When we first were doing it, we're like, oh my God, what's going on?
Who funded that? Like, as far as, did everybody just kind of, hey, I have this, and we could to build what you built back there? I mean, was it just you just did it all on your own?
We did it all on our own.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you what, last summer about killed us, because we still were doing our regular summer schedule, playing at night, and during the day we would wake up and I was leveling the yard, bringing dump truck loads of sand and dirt in, putting sod down. I transplanted about almost 10 palm trees back there, and those are not easy to dig up. Mm-hmm. And so it was hard labor work all last summer, which, I've done hard labor my whole life. I used to be a welder. I was a combat medic in the Army, and so I've had real jobs my whole life, and so it's not a big deal. But doing that and playing gigs all night, at the end of the summer, we were just like, man, I need a nap, And so this summer we're looking forward to it, because we're like, we got the hard part done, and it looks good back there, and it's enjoyable when we do it. So, so far the neighbors have been supportive. Nobody's complained, and we're trying to do it the right way, where we don't, get any grief from anybody, and trying to do it at the right hours. I didn't want to compete with the places I also play,
right.
So I was trying to do it at that nice time slot where it's not really competing with other live music around.
All right, so let me put you on the spot. Who's been your favorite musician, or your favorite show, however you want to put it?
Down in this area?
At the Boogie.
Oh, at the Boogie.
What's been your highlight of the shows?
You know what? It's hard to say. I tell you what. I'll be honest. I'm definitely biased to our local artists. I've had artists in from other areas, but we have some really good stuff. And I'll tell you what is nice. I'll narrow it down to different reasons why I like different people, but they're all good. But what I like about this area is the musicians are real. They don't get up there and try to kind of put on a shtick or kind of a cheesy show that you get sometimes from some entertainers that have just been doing it too much in the business. And I don't, everybody we've had out there has been fantastic, and none of them have been really like that. But my folks live up around Branson, and there's all these theaters, and you go see them, and they're great musicians, but it's so canned that you kind of, you hear the joke coming before it ever gets there. And so, what I'm saying? And
right.
I really like artists that get up and they just are like, hey, this is me, whatever it is. Even if somebody gets up and makes a mistake, it's still entertaining, and we're all experiencing it together. And I like real entertainers that just get up and just say, this is who I am, this is the songs I play, and this is what I'm about. And I like that straightforward kind of approach, and everybody down here is like that. They're just real people. And
they play themselves.
Yeah, they're good people, man. And I really love that about this area. So, on that note, one of the guys that to me is just one of the smoothest solo acts that we had out there is Reed Waddle. And he's back in town now. He was living in New York and Boston. And just smooth. I mean, the guy's smooth. He's got great songs, and he's a great person. And, me included, I'm scared to get up on stage by myself with my guitar and play a whole night of music and be that transparent. And he does it with grace. And so it was nice having him out there. And I've recorded his show out there, and it was fantastic. The recording.
I've seen the Funkies, and then you.
Yeah, I met him not too long ago at Buddha. And
Buddha, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. He's real and down to earth, and his songs are about the great experiences he's lived in his life.
He's a good guy. But there's so many things, Cadillac Willie came out there and just kicked it Cadillac style out there and did a great job. I mean, the energy was good. They had a good crowd. Heritage, these guys, I've seen them from the beginning just grow into something fantastic, the energy. And, I never had really gotten a chance to sit down and really know these guys. And, when they came out, they were the nicest, most easygoing, fun to deal with guys out there. They were so fun. They were transparent. They got out there and cut up with the crowd, and their music's great. And I've seen them just grow from the beginning till now, and the confidence level in what they do is there. And they were just a treat to get to hang out with them.
This gets brought up a lot too. in the area, we always talk about this. What other small community like us have so much talent?
Yeah.
You know, you have Nashville, you have, of course,
I'll be
there,
honest.
but is there any other place?
Not that I've ever seen, and I'll be honest, this is kind of the scary, or the other side of that is that we have, like, it's kind of like an eco balance. There's like the right amount of everything. There's like the right amount of venues to support the artists here and to keep everybody growing and hungry. And the scary thing from somebody who, it's kind of contradictory for me to say this because I came from another area down here, and so I'm somebody that came into the area. And I think it's good to get other people in here, but the music industry has changed so much, and it's become so much about the identity and the visual aspect of it, and less about the music.
You got that right. And
TV stations. And there's no denying it. It's just now the music. One guy is the innovator, and then there's 100 imitators that come behind him. And so I really think that what is nice about the balance that's been here is that every artist you go see down here is different. I mean, that is something that's nice. You go see Chris Alvarado, he's got his own sound. Reed Waddle, like I said, has his own sound. Dread Clampett, they have an identity. And that's something that's important to find down here. It's a decision we consciously made when we moved here. There were people that were still doing kind of the beach Jimmy Buffett thing down here, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's a need for it. But when I got down here, we made a conscious decision to go, you know what, that's already being covered. There's plenty of people doing that. What can we do to just be ourselves? And so we started picking the music that we really felt would be good and started doing our own stuff. And I think that's special about this area is that it made me realize you can be yourself, and you can have your own identity. You can do your original music, and still be appreciated down here. So it's a special place. This small little bubble, basically, between Panama City and Destin, even I would say, not even to Fort Walton, like kind of Miramar Beach out to here. It's a special area. I feel like the people really do appreciate the arts here, and have been very supportive. And not to say that it's not that way in Destin. I mean, we go do shows there and have great support. Destin's fantastic. We lived over there for 4 years, and so the whole area is great. But I do feel like this is a very artsy community here that they want to see you keep growing in your craft here. I mean, the fans do, and they're supportive. And my worry for being out here was that we were going to burn everybody out on our music, and they're going to be like, oh my God, it's the Forrest Williams band again. But really, so far, it's kept me wanting to keep growing in my craft so I don't burn people out. And it's also, we try to show up and give 100% every time to where people have a reason to go, okay, that was worth coming out for.
You're far from that point, so you're good. You're good to go now.
Yeah, we're trying.
And if you ever do get burnt out on it, we were looking forward to seeing the Farrell Williams.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Which I'll tell you what, man, she's just lately. I've gone through a month of everybody got the chest cold and all that, so my voice has been out, and I've had a tough time, and I've been like making her sing a few more songs, and everybody's like, oh man. So I'm like,
she's good. I love her, especially when she. I'm a sucker for harmony anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
But whenever she lays the vocals on top of yours, it's great.
She is a natural at it. I mean, I'll tell you what, she's really, really good. I mean, this is a story that I tell people. We were playing actually Hog's Breath one night down in Destin, and Farrell actually makes jewelry also and sells it sometimes at the shows, and really good stuff. But like one night, I'm sitting there watching her play, and I just never realized how outgunned I was by her, because when I met her, she was quiet, and I was like, I don't really know what that means. You never know about somebody that's quiet, whether they don't know what to say or whether they just prefer not to say anything. And so she kind of let me know that I was really wrong about her, because she'd been quiet for a long time. But I look over and she's playing the bass line with her left hand, she's playing a solo with her right hand, and she's selling a piece of jewelry to someone at the same time. And I'm like, there's no way I'll ever be able to do that in my life. And I'm like, only a woman can multitask like that.
That's totally true.
But she is really, really talented, and continues to impress me all the time and make me feel, ignorant, but you know, but she's really cool, man. She's definitely. I do believe that a part of being successful in life is surrounding yourself with good people, and she is definitely that, you know.
Well, I was going to ask who you haven't booked at the Backyard Boogie that you would like to, but I think we've all decided it'll be the Pharrell Williams.
Yeah, the Pharrell Williams thing. Yeah, you know, I mean, I didn't really get to finish saying there are so many good artists that have come out there, and I want them all to know how much I've appreciated them coming out and playing at the Boogie and supporting what we're doing, and it's definitely something that it's a win-win situation for both of us. I want the light to be shined on all the artists around here so that people can see how great their own music is, and I think it's important to have an outlet for your original music so you'll get pumped up and go back and go, man, I'm writing more stuff so I can come back and even do, you know, a bigger, better show even next time. So that's what I want to happen, and it seems like that is happening. But we've had great artists. Dread Clampets came out and did a show. It was a full moon night. The temperature was great. We had campfires going, and they got up there, a sold out show. And I mean, like, it was just one of those nights where everything was perfect. And, you know, it was one of those nights where I was like, this is why I did this. I mean, you know, and everybody there was like, yes, you know.
It's the magic.
Yeah, it's magic. And that's what music, and I feel like.
There's been no negative, right?
No,
I mean, it's
not
been
a single
positive. Neighbor or nothing.
No,
and everybody I've heard is always like, oh, it's just cool and it's different. It's not the same.
That's right. I do think that there's something special when you put music in an outdoor setting. The music has a place to expand. Like, it's clear. It's the noise level is right. I mean, like, there's actually a natural reverb to the woods behind there. It's just a good setup, and I don't take credit for it. It's Mother Nature, man. It's the best design, and so to me, it's a no-brainer. Getting to have music outdoors like that is just so good, you know.
Now, did I hear you're working on a third album?
I am. I'll be honest, I've got 3 albums more worth of music already written.
Did you write when you were a kid, or was it something you?
You know, I started writing when I was probably around 18 years old, and you know, that's kind of when love started hitting me. Yeah. You know, and you know,
there's your material.
Yeah, material starts there. But I've gone back and written based on based on my childhood and things, and so I've written stuff since then about that. But I really, like I said earlier, I was pretty shy. I went off to the Army when I was 19, and got out of the Army when I was 25, and so the Army helped bring a little of the shyness out of me. You know, when you get yelled at by a drill sergeant all day, you kind of learn to, you know, you're yelling back and you can't be timid, you know. And so I got over all that pretty much in the Army. But I did a lot of writing about just life and things like that in my early 20s, and you know, the Out of the Woods. There's a title track on there, and it's about. I grew up in an area that was a dry county, so there was nowhere to play or drink, and except for 2 places. One was a VFW, and the other one was a supper club, and that was kind of their way to get around the law. Was you could pay a $5 membership for the year and get in and go have a steak dinner and actually drink and listen to music there. And this place was like 1.5 miles from my house, and it was called the Conway Supper Club. And I used to hunt and fish almost every day of my life. I grew up in a family that we always lived way out in the country, and so when I would get in, even from high school, I would either go run trot lines or hunt and fish every day of my life. And so when I started doing gigs at this place, I had the college night, which was every Wednesday night. And it was almost like going to a roadhouse bar. I mean, like, all the fraternities, there was 3 colleges in this town with no place to drink but this place. So you can imagine 3 fraternities would show up and mix with all the blue-collar roughnecks and, you know, tough guys. And I mean, it was a barroom brawl every week when I played. And the bartender would be like, man, what kind of music are you playing? You're causing everybody to fight. I said, man, I'm just playing good old, you know, classic rock and southern rock and country, you know. And they're like, man, whatever it is, it's working, you know, to get everybody going. So I wrote this song out of the woods because I'd literally come out of the woods from hunting that evening, and I would put my shotgun down and I'd grab my guitar and go play a gig. And it was pretty redneck, but it was my life at the time. And so that the album's got a lot of good songs on it. I've been doing one of the songs lately called Monday to a Saturday, and it's about me going to work in the morning on a Monday morning to do construction, and passing this guy in a bass boat going to the lake, and I'm like, what is wrong with my life here? This guy's going fishing on a Monday, and I'm headed to the job site, And so I ended up writing a song, if I could make a Monday feel like a Saturday, I guess I'd be doing all right, But
I'm gonna be lined up for that album.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Like country.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna have a good feel on it, and I got a lot of good songs.
What was your first song? Do you remember?
The first song I
It doesn't have to
wrote,
be a good one. What was your first song?
my first song ever might be on this album. I'm not sure, but it's called "Country on My Mind," and it's a good one. It's about basically my lifestyle then, and it was it's a cool song, But yeah, that's the first one I wrote, and then of course the next one was a little love song, called "You Are the One," and it's a good little. It's actually I forgot I even wrote it, and like I found the lyrics a couple years ago since I've been down here, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that song, and I pulled it out, and started playing it, and Farrell and I actually both started playing it together at the house, and it sounded good, and I was like, I gotta start doing that song. So
she approved.
She was all right. And the truth is, at that time, at that age when I wrote it, I was really just writing about the idea of somebody, and because I didn't know what I was doing at that age, so it was. She wasn't mad at me for writing a love song about some other girl.
I was going to say, good cover up there, Forrest. It's
really, nobody specific. It was really just the idea of you to come.
Before I'd met you.
Yeah. I was dreaming about you. I got away with it, but probably not after this interview. I didn't really start writing, and I'll be honest, I don't just sit down and just write just to write, and maybe I should, because probably ideas would come from that, but there's a lot of people that have, hundreds of songs they've written, but when I write something, it's because the idea feels good to me, and either I have a really good melody that I want to wrap the lyrics around, or there's something that hits me just right with the meaning of it. And
just like when you were talking about seeing a guy on a Monday going fishing, that type thing. And you're thinking about it while you're driving around, or whatever, and you put it together.
It hits you, and honestly, that idea, I'd had that idea a long time ago, back in Arkansas, but I didn't write the song till I got down here. And normally that doesn't happen. Almost all the songs I wrote early on, I would sit there and it would be like a marriage of the melody and the words all at the same time. Like I'd be sitting there just messing around, and I'd come up with something really cool, and then all of a sudden these words started wrapping around it, and I mean, those are the best songs because they flow and they go together, and you can tell, they were made for each other.
Mm-hmm. Almost writes itself.
Yeah, it does. And there's songs, you write like that, and literally 10 minutes later you're going, holy crap, I got a song, and you might improve on it. But what I've learned to do through the years is that sometimes that doesn't happen, but I've learned that when you hit a creative spell and things are, it's flowing, you better sit down and write it down or get it going while it's there, because it comes in waves. And also, don't be afraid to actually go back like used to. Once I wrote a song, I didn't touch it and I left it and like, that's the words. But now I'll think about it and I'll go back and say, okay, that sounds all right, but I think this would be a better phrase for that, or this makes more sense, because you learn to actually try to tie the end of the song in with the front of the song to where it all kind of makes sense, and sometimes I get that good, and sometimes I'm going, well, this is just a really good groove, but like Funky Groove, that song, that's an infectious song, but the lyrics, when you look at it, it's all over the map. I mean, it starts out with me driving back. I wrote the first verse driving back from Fort Walton after buying my guitar, and I literally had $15 left, And I waited purposely till Farrell went out of town to go buy that guitar because I knew she was going to kill me. And when I tell this story, she's like, "You didn't have $15. We had $15 left after you bought that guitar." And so, you know, I started writing the verse on the way home because I was like literally scared that she was going to kill me when she got home. And I was like, I got to go get a gig immediately. I grew up listening to the music side of it more than the lyrics. I was not as much, I mean, I grew up listening to some songwriting, and I do like good lyrics, but I grew up being more musical. Like, I liked the groove. I grew up, my dad loved James Brown, and you know, he came back from Vietnam with all this funky soul music that he'd heard from his, you know, buddies over there, and you know, I grew up listening to that. My dad would dance his butt off in the living room, man. He'd get down like James Brown. I was like, man. And so I always tell people, I'm like, I get the rhythm from my dad and I get the voice from my mother. I was sitting around and I got to thinking, you know, I just started listening to actually sounds one day. Even I was out in the yard and I was hearing like this bird do the call. It was a whippoorwill, actually. And I started thinking about that and how you could actually take sounds and write a song around it. Well, I started thinking on that sent me to this other thought where my grandpa kind of passed down a whistle to all of us that no matter where you were at in the mall or anywhere, we had a family whistle that you could hear it and you immediately knew that was somebody in your family, and you'd just go there. And so it was awesome. It was just something simple that we did, and so it was like, it's da da da, and I never realized. I mean, but to this day, if I hear it, I'm like, okay. Of course, I shouldn't have said that. Now people are gonna be listening and go, but anyway, no. I started thinking. No, I started thinking though, just this last year, that it sounded like somebody saying "over here," you know. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote this song for my mom and I. My grandpa passed away. It was her father, and I just thought it'd be cool to, you know, pay tribute to him, and because he's such a cool guy, and so I wrote this song that's a call and response song that my mom and I do, and it's called "Over Here." And in the beginning, it's two people whistling our family whistle, and I've got it panned left and right to where you're whistling back and forth to each other, and then it starts singing "Over Here," and then "Over Here" she sings "Over Here," and it's like everywhere I've looked for my love, and I've dreamed of the day when I'd hear my true love say "over here," and then it says "echoes over here." And so it's just kind of a neat old-timey type tune, like something you might even hear back in the 40s. But I got my mom to come in and sing on it, and it was great.
When are we to hear that? When are we?
Right.
I don't know. I've got kind of just we just recorded it at the house, and I've got a rough version of it there. But I had her come in and sing, and oh man, it was so much fun because she'd never ever sing in a microphone, and so we're in there just cracking up, you know, and trying to both of us trying to sing on key. But she never sang in her life and really didn't even know the song, and came in a short amount of time and put down good vocals, and I was like, man, that's awesome.
That is,
but it's sweet.
Be cool to hear.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
yeah,
story
exactly.
behind it too.
Yeah, it's cool. So she was pretty pumped about that. Mainly I just want to definitely say how thankful I am to be in an area like this that really allows you to shine at what you do. And thank you guys. 38songwriterradio.com. You know, it's fantastic being in an area where people actually care to show up at your shows and want to hear what you have to say and promote the arts around here. So, you know, huge thanks to you guys, man, for having me.